Welcome to the One Stiletto in the Grave podcast with your hosts, Sunny Ormonde and Jane James.
Are you ready to cast off those dull old blacks and greys and embrace colour? Kettlewell sells high-quality wardrobe essentials in more than 300 colours. From everyday basics to jackets, skirts, dresses and scarves, each Kettlewell style comes in a range of colours in 4 seasonal palettes, so you can choose the exact shade for your skin tone. And when you wear your perfect shade, your skin looks fresh, glowing and youthful. We're ready to embrace the rainbow. Are you? Visit Kettlewell at www.kettlewellcolours.co.uk.
Hi everyone, we're recording this just a little time after Eurovision, which I missed because I was at a very, very, very lovely wedding. But I know you watched the whole thing, didn't you, Sunny?
I did. Yes, we did. It was marvellous. I mean, it was quite an extravaganza. You missed quite something, actually. And I'm sure if you had been there in Liverpool, it must have been amazing because it was like this huge light show. The money that must have been spent on all the variations for the acts must have been just absolutely amazing. But yeah, it was a real extravaganza, and we stuck with it, I have to say, because as each act came on, your sort of jaw fell a bit more to the ground because you couldn't quite believe what was going on. No, it was amazing. It was amazing, actually.
Ambridge, of course, celebrated Eurovision in their inimitable way, didn't they?
It did indeed. It had its very own extravaganza. It was the Eurovision variety show in Ambridge, actually, organised by Linda. Oh, she was one of the organisers, eventually. And of course, thrilling for Ambridge because we had Rylan Clark, who actually appeared to do the judging of the variety show, and he came in and he recorded an episode. Unfortunately, it was the episode before mine because I was actually recording that day, but I did meet him and I had a little photo taken with Rylan as well, which was deeply exciting. Yes, and he is such a lovely man. Can't tell you what a delightful chap he is, and was so good in the episode. And everybody said, all the actors who worked with him said he was just a natural. So yes, we had Rylan, which was brilliant.
Do you know how that came about? Is he an Archers fan?
I think he is, but as I understand it, I think it was the producers actually of Eurovision, because of course Rylan was actually commentating. Yeah. And I think they thought, and I think one of the producers is a great fan of the Archers, one of the Eurovision producers in Britain, and thought it would be a great idea. So that was how I think it came about, as I understand it. So yeah, it was thrilling to have him there with us. But yeah, no, it was good fun, of course, in Ambridge, and I believe Freddie actually won it in Ambridge, the contest. But what amused me was that Lillian, apparently, I don't know if you remember this, listeners, but Lillian apparently wanted to enter, and she wanted to represent Australia. And I was fascinated to see how that would have played out, because how would that have been? Would she have been dancing around with one of those wonderful bush hats with all the corks hanging down, singing Waltzing Matilda? I mean, with
she
a can
should have had no shortage of corks, would she? The number of bottles she owned.
That's right. It's so true. Oh, well done, Jenny. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I can't see her with a can of lager. I mean, I can see her with a bottle of gin, but I can't see her with that. And it amused me that I thought, oh right, why Australia? Why would she want Australia? Sorry guys, you can hear it's my dogs, but they'll disappear in a minute. Sorry. Yeah. So it was all good fun, wasn't it? In Ambridge, I mean, there were some quite bizarre things, and there was the comedy duo, wasn't there, between Eddie and Leonard.
That's right.
Yes,
apparently turned out to have a wonderful sense of humour.
Indeed, yes. Yeah.
I was quite disappointed that we didn't get to, because we often get to hear the show, don't we? The Christmas pantomime or whatever it might be.
Yes.
But we didn't really get to hear very much, just a bit from rehearsals.
We didn't, did we? I know. We got the comedy duo, I think, didn't we, in rehearsal, and a little bit of Kirsty, because she was representing Spain, of course.
That's right.
She was doing all that. I would like to have heard Jim doing a bit of the Iliad, because he was representing Greece. Only for a brief second, you understand?
Yes.
But I don't think that probably would have been the highlight of the event, but that would have been quite fun. And of course, Brookfield did The Sound of Music, didn't they? They did
That I would have paid good money to hear.
I can't imagine what I was hoping, because when I heard it, because the thing is, I think, as I said before, we don't always get all the scripts through for the month. So when I knew that they were doing that, I was really hoping that we were going to get a little bit of the rehearsal, but of course we didn't get any of their rehearsal, did we?
Oh. Well, there we go. But you were sat on the sofa for Eurovision. So was it about 4 hours, the final?
Yeah, it felt like 10. But no, it was. We kept having to sort of go, and have little cups of coffee or the odd glass of gin or whatever to see us through it. I mean, there were times, I thought, just can't handle this anymore. And then I'd come back to it. But of course, we didn't do very well. The UK did. And of course, I felt sorry for her, because she was right. She was the last act to go on. She was the last act. She was very good, I thought. But clearly, not good enough. Not like the previous year when Sam Ryder did terribly well with his spaceman thing, didn't he?
He did. I was surprised. I listened to her song and I thought it was quite good. I was very surprised at how badly it did. Do you think it was because she was on so late and everybody was fed up by then?
It could have been that, but I think also, and I read somewhere, there was a bit of criticism because they felt that that she was overwhelmed a bit by the music, so her vocals weren't really pinging out. And I kind of see what they mean. And I think possibly because she was last, and because we had these huge acts which had been incredibly sort of neon as an act, whether that suffered, it was... they felt that somehow it was to do with the balance of the music and the song and her voice.
See, I've not seen the live thing. I've just seen the video, the sort of official video of the song, which of course they then make sure is balanced terribly well.
I think it could have been. I mean, there were some good acts, Janie. Actually, there were some good songs. Germany was quite bizarre. I mean, they were
came
bizarre.
last, didn't they?
They came last. We came second to last. Whoops. But they were bizarre. But I mean,
what was bizarre about them?
Well, it was just quite an aggressive sort of type of song, which wasn't really terribly pleasant. Have a look at it. Have a look if you can find it. It was just very aggressive and sort of in your face and not very pleasant. I don't think Graham Norton liked it very much either, because he was commentating, of course.
So just not very Eurovision.
Not very Eurovision. Just it was quite aggressive and thunderous, and it was an odd choice actually. The lead singer was just incredibly aggressive. It was sort of heavy metal and some, but in an aggressive way.
Nick would have loved it.
Oh, he would. Get him to look at it. Well, he might. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does think of it, actually. I think it was more the content of it that was the issue with it. But anyway. No, but there were some great singers. And the girl that won, fabulous voice. I mean, she's Sweden. It was Sweden. Yeah. Corrine, I think her name was. But no, she had a brilliant voice.
I was sort of looking at the final scores, and Sweden and Finland were like hundreds of points above even the third place, weren't they?
Yeah. I like Finland, actually. They were great. And I think everybody thought they were going to possibly win. They were a little group with a very good lead singer. And it was just fun. It was just a really fun piece. And they did a great dance routine to it as well with it. But it's interesting, Janie, what goes, what the other countries go for. Because it's that sort of Eurovision. It's what is taste, what taste that year, really. And it may be something to do, I wonder, with, we're watching it on screen, but maybe when you're there, there's an additional element that we don't get. I don't know.
No. So with the voting, it was people voting. Did you vote? I mean, could you vote?
We could have done, but yeah, we didn't.
But you didn't.
Yeah, no.
And could the people in the audience vote? Do you know?
Oh, no, I can't remember. I'm sure they would have been able to. There was no reason why they shouldn't have been able to. Because it became the people's vote eventually, and that's what swung it all. That's what swung it all.
But they still had the national juries and the and the
they
and all
they
that.
still had Hello, I am Sweden calling for all that.
Oh.
Yeah, we had all that. But it was all a bit shorter because we didn't get all the business of I don't know France 3 and Belgium 8. We just had the 12 points for the country that they wanted to vote for. So it was much quicker. It was much quicker. I mean, you would have still had the other votes for the other countries, but they not on air. They obviously gave them off air. Yeah. So it just made the whole thing much quicker.
Because that used to take forever, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
In the days of Cherry Wogan.
Yeah. Absolutely forever. Absolutely. Sam Ryder was great because sort of in the interval, when they're counting up the votes, he sang his latest number. I mean, he does have an extraordinary voice, that guy. So it was great. I mean, it was terribly entertaining, but we just couldn't get over the amount of money that must have been spent on it. And the different ideas that countries have. I don't think that what they're presenting is going to be the bee's knees and going to win. I liked Italy as well. There was a ballad there. The problem was, as Sue, my partner, said, there wasn't a good tune, Sunny. There's no good tunes. He was, because they were all very much in your face. It was very performance-led, I felt. Right. But he was great, the guy from Italy. It was a really nice tune. I liked his tune. Mm.
And the other thing that's interesting is that Finland came second and they sang in Finnish, didn't they?
Mm.
But so many of the acts sang in English and not in their own language, which I find fascinating.
Mm. Yeah. They did some stat during it about that, and I can't remember now what the stats were, but there always have been a predominant amount in English. Yeah.
It's sort of become the international language. I guess it's because of America. It seems to have become the international language of music.
I think so, and I think I may be wrong in this, but I think somebody said also because there was such a lot of very good British songwriters that could have been how it. And that's not to say you can't, if you write a song, you can't transfer it to your own language. But it may be if a British writer has written a song, it's all about the rhythm, isn't it? Yes. If you change language, it can become something else. No, that is very interesting.
And of course, ABBA, stalwart of Eurovision, wrote their own songs in English. They did. They didn't translate them, as I understand it. Right. They wrote everything in English.
Yeah, and I suppose maybe it's got a wider market, has it, Janie? Wider selling market, if they do that.
I guess so. I guess it must have.
In terms of income and stuff.
I'm going to Spain next week, and it's always fascinating just to sort of listen to the radio and how much is sung in English as opposed to Spanish.
Really?
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that is.
That is interesting. But I guess, I mean, obviously Spanish is the predominant language when you're out there.
Yeah. But in terms of, it's that thing about, you said songwriters and all that. I got back from the wedding, which was lovely, and switched my phone back on, and I got something like 130 WhatsApp messages. I was like, what has happened? But it was all my chums in the Borchester Asylum WhatsApp group had all been watching it in their own homes together and kind of sending messages backwards and forwards like, oh, Germany, ooh, and what about that and that costume and so on.
Oh, how funny.
Isn't that interesting?
It's lovely because it's all about community again, isn't it, Janie, as well? I mean, as the listeners may or may not know, and tune in if you didn't, but we did a live podcast at the mailbox, the BBC mailbox the other week, inviting folk along who are Archers listeners, but part of their other communities, like the Portchester Asylum or Academic Archers, and it was the Academic Archers who hosted it. But what was interesting out of that was the community and how communities developed through the love of, in this particular instance, Ambridge and the Archers. Yeah. But, you think about that, and in terms of the wider community, we've got, of course, we've got Ambridge, but with something like Eurovision, this wider community, this European community, although Australia did nip in as well on this one, but
I'm always very confused at the definition of Europe that's used by Eurovision. But
absolutely, I don't quite know how that happens, but anyway, there you go. But it is very much that, and how it brought so many people together, and the support for Ukraine. Even this year, I know particularly last year because Ukraine won, but. Terrific support, which makes you have a bit more faith in humanity, I think, and when there's so many awful things happening, aren't there, in the world?
I kind of wondered if Ukraine might win because just because of what's happened, but they were kind of halfway down, weren't they? Yeah.
But still very much supported, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I gather there were lots of blue and yellow flags and all the rest of it, which is great. But no, just going back to listening, I think because watching rather, when we were growing up, everybody used to watch the same thing because there were only 3 channels. You'd watch the same thing. Everybody would watch Morecambe and Wise, and then you'd go to school or to work the next day and talk about it. But that happens so rarely now, doesn't it? Because we've got so many channels, we all watch something different, and we watch it at different times. I don't listen to the Archers at 7:00. I listen to it at 10:30 at night. So with something like Eurovision, it's one of those very rare occasions where millions of people are experiencing it in real time and chatting about it together, which I think is rather nice.
Yeah. Absolutely. And lovely the fact that now, I know there's all sorts of negatives about social media, but the fact that, you talk about your WhatsApp group or the WhatsApp group, we're able to actually to talk about it as it was happening, which is fun, isn't it? Which is, just great fun. Should we move on from international waters to Knutsford, do you think? Jenny, and our friend Dorothy?
Well, why not? Why not? In her last podcast, she was talking about her friend Monica, and we join her again as she picks up the story of what happened to Monica after she was dumped by Dorothy's brother, Bob. My mother always had a thing about the dangers of shop-bought pies. I swear I get stomach cramps if I even look at a Fray and Bentos tin in Sainsbury's.
Yeah. I wonder if tin pies are one of those things that you miss if you're an expat. Things like Heinz tomato soup, maybe Bird's custard, Marmite. A little story here, Shipham's meat paste. I don't know if you remember Shipham's meat paste, but we have a relative in Canada, English, and we went over to stay with them some years ago, and she said to me, before you come, she said, could you go and find several tins of Shipham's meat paste, please, for my husband? So really, we should open this up to ask the listeners, shouldn't we, Janie, if that might be so. Now, our producer, Jake, has discovered that some of you are in very far-flung places.
He did. We were amazed at the countries you tune in from. And maybe this is one episode where we should actually allow Jake to speak so he can tell us a bit more about it. Hello, Jake. Have you got a voice?
Hello. Yes, I do. I do have a voice. Just about when I've managed to unmute myself as well as unmute other people, which always tends to go well. I was actually scribbling some stuff down while you guys were talking about Eurovision, and I just thought it was worth noting that while Eurovision has 26 nations competing, we have 50 countries that listen to us.
Wow.
So make of that what you will.
Golly.
Gosh, yes. That is absolutely fascinating. Because when you sent over the analytics that you had done, it was just so... Tell us a bit about that, Jake, the analytics and how it works.
Yeah, so I mean, the analytics are really, well, to me, pretty interesting. So, for example, obviously the United Kingdom is our biggest listener, then followed by the United States, then followed by Australia, then Canada, then New Zealand, Ireland, and then after that we get into the non-English speaking countries. So you've then got Spain, France, Singapore is, I think, number 8 or 9 on this list, which is extraordinary. And then, you've got the rest of another 50 countries. I would point out we have 6 listens from the Russian Federation. So,
that's interesting.
Everyone, loose lips do sink ships, so be careful. And
we've got somebody in Iraq, haven't we?
Yes, we've got somebody in Iraq.
Hello, in Iraq, if it's you.
Got somebody in Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia. We got Israel.
St. Lucia.
St.
I'd like
Lucia.
an invite, please. Whoever's listening. Oh, yes, we'd love to come over.
Yes, we've had 2 listens in St. Lucia. So, and a country that I hadn't heard of, New Caledonia. As well, which I think, from looking at the map, is a little island in between kind of Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
And it is tiny. So yes, I mean, it's all very interesting. And then you've got, what's very cool about our analytics, and I'm sure everyone finds this, is that you can also see the most listened to cities. As well, and unsurprisingly, in the UK, London is our most listened to city. But then you have a huge demographic all over the country, and our most listened to city in outside the UK is Sydney.
It is, and we've got more people listening in Sydney than we have in Southampton.
Yes,
Gosh, that's interesting, isn't it? That's
Hello in Australia.
hello, darlings. Hello. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say that.
I know,
I'm not
I was
making
waiting for
fun.
some
I just
sort of
love the
Australian
accent.
impression.
I just love the accent, and also because Lillian was supposed to be representing Australia in Ambridge. So, hello, darlings. Hello. Right.
I see.
We can move on now.
Yes,
I've had my moment.
But then, yes, in the US, it's Laverne, which I've never heard of. I don't know where Laverne is.
It's in California.
Oh, is it?
It's in LA. Yeah.
Oh wow! I mean, we can do a live podcast in California if anyone.
I was going to say we're up for invitations to any
anything.
of these places.
What about Montecito? I wonder if Harry listens. Harry in
could
Montecito. You never know, Prince Harry.
It could
We'd
do.
like an invite.
Well,
That
we've
would be
got
nice.
Lakeland, we've got Chicago, we've got New York, Leominster.
Ooh, lovely. Leominster.
Yeah, Leominster.
Yeah,
might be
but
that.
in the States, not in...
Right. So it probably is Leominster
Might
then.
well be.
I don't know. I mean,
right.
hey, listen,
No,
we
you're
can
probably
take
right.
whatever pronunciation we want at this point. Boardman, Gresham, Longmount,
Wow.
and then Tarrytown. All of these places I've no idea about. But
They're all in the
It's
States, aren't they?
amazing.
Yes.
So,
But I think what's very interesting about these stats, and I'm sure you two can attest to this, is that I think a lot of these people must be British expats who have moved to these countries and are desperate for a slice of home.
I'm sure, because again, when we did our live podcast in Birmingham, Jacqueline Berto shared a lovely story, didn't she, about how she was out in the Arab Emirates, wasn't she?
She's in Saudi.
Saudi, that's
Saudi.
right. And she used to have tapes sent across to her, and there were about 3 or 4 of them, I think, there, weren't there, that loved the Archers, and it was in the days of tapes, and they used to listen to the tapes. So yeah, it is bringing a bit of home, isn't it, to wherever you're living, really,
yeah,
and a bit of the countryside.
I'm sure, and it's maybe easier now because of BBC Sounds, which I think you can listen to in very many countries. But yeah, in the old days, you either got tapes sent to you or you missed it. And in the same way, I used to take loads of stuff over to my friends in Spain, Marmite and all that kind of thing, Yorkshire tea, Stilton. But now they can get most of that stuff anyway. But it used to be a taste of home.
Absolutely, and there's no place like home, quite frankly,
No.
is there?
No.
It's that which is familiar.
Indeed. Have I said before about how I nearly got arrested taking Marmite to Dublin?
Oh, no, please tell us you haven't. We're all ears.
This is when my friend Ali was living in Dublin, and she missed Marmite. She couldn't get it over there. We're going back many years now. So I got 2 big jars of Marmite, and I got my big waterproof jacket on and stuck a jar of Marmite in each pocket. Got to security, thought nothing of it, and they, what's that? So it's Marmite. I got taken to one side. I was like, it's Marmite. But apparently it's used extensively by people smuggling drugs because the sniffer dogs can't get past the smell of the Marmite. So empty Marmite jars, were in those days used for bunking drugs in, and so that's so I thought I had no idea. I was like, what do you think's in it? It's Marmite.
So did they open it up?
They opened it up and had a look.
Right. So they didn't. Right. Oh my goodness.
They could see that it was sort of the virgin Marmite.
Yeah. How fascinating. Well, I never knew that about Marmite jars.
Yeah, there you
my
go.
goodness.
So
I mean, it's fascinating with drug smugglers. I mean, obviously, highly illegal, and we don't condone any of this behaviour. But some of the things that kind of people come up with to kind of smuggle things through, I mean, they should probably be at the height of industry, really, in another career, instead of getting drugs through. But just so creative, because I wouldn't have thought that Marmite would be something a dog would get confused by.
I don't know. I suppose it's because it's such a strong smell. It overrides every other smell. So no, they are very clever, aren't they? Because if you go to Australia, is it Australia? They have fruit sniffing dogs.
Oh, really?
It's either Australia or New Zealand. I think it's Australia. Yeah, because they don't want you taking fruit in there in case it's got parasites or disease or whatever. So yeah, they probably have drug sniffing dogs as well, but they also have fruit sniffing dogs at the airport. Yeah, because one of my daughters got caught with an apple in her rucksack. This very sweet dog sat down and sort of at her feet, and she went, "Oh, cute dog." And then,
I just sees her.
Yeah. And then she got her rucksack searched and her apple confiscated.
Oh God.
Bizarre.
How did we get onto fruits? I've done this again, haven't I? We were talking about something sensible, like where people listen, and now I'm talking about smuggling drugs.
I think it was because I was eulogising about the ingenuity of drug smugglers. So I mean, probably fruit is the better option of the two, really.
But I think when we are visiting people overseas, maybe we could just take bird's custard and ship them some meat paste and not drugs.
Probably. Yeah, I think that would be the best thing. Can I just double check, Jay, with these analytics? So when you say we've got, I don't know, 391 listens in Cambridge, does that mean individual people, or are we talking about just literally people tuning in? So it could be more than that. Is that what you're saying?
So that's individual listens. So that could be. I mean, I was saying to Janie that I think quite a few of these listens can just also be people who they happen to listen to the podcast in this location, rather than they could live there or be from there. But it's an individual listen, not individuals, if that makes sense.
So it could be one person listening to one episode 391 times.
Yes, exactly. And or could be going around the globe, just randomly turning the podcast on as they're going through an airport or a time zone.
That's a wonderful image.
Which would be highly entertaining.
Okay, so if we want to boost our analytics, we just need to raise the money for a world tour and sort of listen to the podcast everywhere we go.
Well, yes. I mean, I suppose the only thing with that is it would then still be individual views. So we'd need to bring, kind of 10 or 12 people to then go to each country with us and we'd have to listen to all the episodes. It would be quite time consuming.
I suppose it would. We need, because you used to do a lot of gigs on cruise ships, didn't you, Sunny? Sort of arts related shows and things.
Absolutely.
You've been to some amazing places. So that's what we could do with, really. We want to do a podcast on a cruise ship. Yeah. So that we've got everybody on the cruise ship to listen to.
Yes. It. So representative, please, from Fred Olsen or Saga or whatever, who is listening, please. We are up for it. We have the technical know-how and we are free.
Yeah, I've got sun cream.
Yes, we've
Yes.
got some cream. It should be very careful at the airport if we have to fly to the
No
ship by
Marmite.
the airport.
No,
Marmite.
or apples apparently, which is yes.
There's no Marmite.
Oh, yes, be up for that one. Oh, podcasts on a cruise ship. I think that'd be fantastic. Yeah,
Absolutely.
brilliant.
Absolutely.
We'll put that one out there.
The only thing is, if they bring us on for just one podcast, we'd need to do it in a bay, wouldn't we? Or else we're doing like an hour and a half of podcast and then sat there going, well, we're rather stuck here. I don't think they're going to get us a helicopter off.
No. We probably would have to do 3 or 4 podcasts if it was a fortnight. But that would be all right.
That'd be all right.
And we could have guests. Listen, we're selling this show. This could be fantastic. Write your own Archer's script, even.
Absolutely. Well, while we wait for the invitation for the cruise, and the cruise liners and the running buffets, what's for dinner at your house tonight?
Oh, well, you'd be pleased to know that it's nothing to do with spaghetti in any form.
What?
No, it's not spaghetti bolognese, love. No, it's not tonight. No, because I'm pushing myself beyond my borders in this sense, if you pardon the expression, because I'm going to take a little bit of a tip from Ambridge, because apparently Helen made some fantastic Eurovision fritters. And I'm going to see if I can find the recipe for the fritters and also a Spanish-style hot chocolate.
Yum.
So yes. So I'm off now. I'm going to do a little bit of investigating on the internet to see if I can find that hot chocolate. And I'll let you know when I'm on the next podcast how I go on.
Tip top. Well, I love Spanish hot chocolate, so I shall be.
So you know all about it. You can send me
Bracing
then. You can send me the recipe for it then.
The churros with it, like the donuts to dip into it. That's the.
Ooh.
Anyway,
This is sounding calorific. How lovely.
Yeah, we're getting into. We're just going to drift off into talking about food now. So I think we should probably say,
Ta-ra.
ta-ra, adios,
All right. Bye-bye, darlings.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Ole!
Au revoir.
Thanks for listening to our One Stiletto